Hello and welcome to That's Cooked episode, I don't fucking know. You know what episode it is? It's episode Merry fucking Grinchmas. That's what it is. Christmas has officially begun in my household, and that's why I thought, wouldn't it be so appropriate if my background was my Christmas tree and Super Mario and Princess Peach at their wedding from Super Mario Odyssey. Of course, you can see some of my collection of my Mark stuff in the background. And you know what else I'm going to do? God, I need to stop speaking into the mic. You know what else I'm going to do? I've got a nice little Mexican beer from Aldi, and I'm going to crack a cold one because 'tis the season, as some might say. No, but for real, I'm in my beer era. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying myself here a little bit too much. I really have never drank alcohol much ever. Like when I was a dirtbag, of course, when we all went through our dirtbag phase as teenagers, I drank alcohol. Yes, I did. But by the time I was 18, honestly, I was done. I had retired. And I think, oh, look, my nails are gold as well because of Japan, which we're going to get to that soon. Because I grew up with so many health issues as a kid in my teen years that I spent like 16, 17, 18, 19 in and out of hospital often. And I was having so many issues with my body that I couldn't even drink if I wanted to. And I think because of that, I think when you have like some sort of chronic illness, you look at everything differently, and you definitely don't take your health and your body for granted. So for me, it's always just kind of been like, well, why would I do this thing that I know makes me feel so bad and is bad for my body and all of that when I've spent so many years trying to get well. But I do like beer. So yeah, I'm in my beer era. I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. I did have some beers in Japan, and that was lovely. And then I thought, you know what? It's Wednesday. It's hump day. Who am I to deny myself an Aldi Mexican beer? A 6-pack for $7.99. That maths is incredible. You know what? They don't taste too bad either. So yeah, if anyone wasn't aware, I just got back from Japan. Literally my favorite place on planet Earth. There's nothing like Japan. And the first time Matt and I went, and look, this is the thing. I knew I would love Japan. I mean, I grew up in high school learning how to speak Japanese. Don't ask me to say anything now. I can't speak Japanese at all. But I grew up actually learning Japanese in high school. And oh my God, this clip hurts my hair. I'm going to take that out. My first ever boyfriend was actually Japanese. Shout out Seigo. Such a cool name. But yeah, so I always kind of knew that I would love the culture, and, you know, you see it in movies and TV, and the music and the fashion and the food. Fuck, I love Japanese food. So I knew there was going to be a lot to like, right? But then the first time I got there, Matt and he had been there before for WWE, but we landed and we looked at each other and we walked around that whole trip just going, how good's Japan? Like, we fucking love Japan. So it's always such a blessing to be able to go anywhere in the world with wrestling. And it's very easy to look at the negatives, and, you know, traveling is a nightmare, and all of the issues that we can have with traveling and flights and hotels and with this and with that and all of those things. But I always try to not lose sight of the fact that Oh my God, sorry, Dallas. Literally just come here. Excuse me. Oh my God. Oh my God. Christmas cat. We love the Christmas cat. Dallas is a Christmas cat. Yes, she is. Look at her. She's having so much fun, and so am I. I love you so much. Sorry for everyone that's not watching this video and they're wondering what the fuck is going on. Don't mind me, just singing to my beautiful cat. But yeah, I always try to not lose sight of the fact that we get flown around the world for a living. We get paid to travel. And I've probably said this already on my own podcast, but I think anyone who can get paid to travel and see the world on someone else's dime, I think people that have any jobs like that have cracked the code. Because, you know, I said it to Matt on our first trip. I said, dude, like, this is a week of work for us. And a week of work, it's a press conference, a 20-minute match, and maybe another press conference and a promo. And we have plenty of time to fuck around and see Japan and eat food. And we've gotten to see Tokyo Disney and Tokyo Disney Sea. Not Tokyo. Is it Tokyo? Yeah, I think. Yeah, no, it is Tokyo. Universal. We went and saw the Universal in Japan. Like we've been able to do so much all under the guise of work that, as I said, I always try to kind of keep perspective and not lose that. And of course, it's easier said than done. Of course, there's days where we're up at 5 a.m. for a flight and we're complaining, or I'm booked on Spirit or fucking Frontier, or our hotel's not ready, or our flight's delayed, or this or that, you know, whatever. It's very easy to kind of do the big poor me sometimes. But I think it is important, no matter what you do, to try and stay grounded and to try to at least, you know, it sounds so fucking lame when you put it like that. Like it sounds like toxic positivity. Because of course there's not always going to be, sometimes situations are just so shit that you just go, you know, usually I'm pretty good at finding the silver lining, but there actually isn't one in this. But I think you got to try and find the positives. Fuck, that sounds lame. I'm like a motivational speaker right now. But I don't know, today I was at the gym and they have like a question of the day every day. And they asked, what's the worst job you've ever had? And I always find these questions of the day interesting because you've got, I do CrossFit, by the way, so it's in like a class thing. You've got a whole bunch of different people from all walks of life and all different age groups and backgrounds and ethnicities and upbringings and, you know, different wealth, like some people, you know what I mean? Like all just so many different people. So it's so interesting when they ask these kind of questions, because for me, I'm always like, oh, I wonder, you know what I mean, to hear other people's answers. And today, the question that they asked was, what's the worst job you've ever had? And when it got to me, I was like, I've actually never hated any of my jobs. And, you know, everyone, most other people, oh, I used to work at a supermarket and it sucked, or I used to be a construction worker and it sucked, blah, 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 blah. And like, sure, there's been parts of every job which are negative. You know, like your bosses, everyone wants to be able to tell their boss to fuck off. Everyone's in some way, if you've worked in customer service or retail, you've had to deal with horrible people. But it just made me realize that I have always been pretty good. And look, I'm the first to put my hand up and say, I was raised in a very comfortable upbringing, right? I grew up in Australia with parents who had stable jobs, who had solid income, with lots of love around me. I was always supported a lot as a child. I was always told that I could do anything that I set my mind to. I had a brother, I still have a brother who I have a great relationship with, but we were even closer when we were growing up. So I know that I've been very blessed, and not everyone is as fortunate as I was as far as my upbringing. But I will say that it's a good feeling to be able to, I don't know, I've always done things that I enjoy. And I was saying it to someone else, and it's so easier said than done. And not everyone is in a position to be able to just snap their fingers and change their reality, whether it's work or relationships or living situation or whatever it is that's bothering them, you know. But I was kind of saying to someone else, because fuck, I can't even remember who I was talking to. Oh, I was talking to one of my friends. Yeah, I remember who I was talking to. And she was saying that she's kind of getting burnt out with her job and she doesn't enjoy it anymore. And she used to wake up wanting to go to work and loving it. And now all of a sudden she's just like, I would rather do anything other than go to work. Like, I wake up in the morning and go, fuck, I have to go back there again. And she's like, you know, the money's good, but fuck, like, you know, I'm not happy. And I've always kind of tried to do life, like, to really, really, really simplify it and break it down of, like, I do what is fun until it's no longer fun anymore for me. And as I said, I know that sounds very simple. And I know that's not the way that life goes and XYZ. But I think what I mean by that is, like, if I get to a point in a situation, whether it's a job or a relationship or a friendship or whatever the fuck, a hobby, anything, a sport. If I get to a point where I'm doing it and it's not fun anymore, I think I'm pretty good at course correcting and going, hold on, I don't enjoy this. I'm not having fun. Even if I used to, I think I'm pretty self-aware in a fact of, like, okay, I fucking hate this now. And I don't want to sit in that feeling for too long. I don't want to be there for too long. And, you know, of course, I'll say it over and over, it's not as simple as that. But I do think and I do believe that people in general, not everyone, but I think a lot of people have more control over their life and their living situation than they think they do. I've had a lot of friends kind of say, like, oh, you're so lucky that you are able to wrestle. And I know I'm so lucky, but at the same time, I mean, I know I'm lucky, obviously because of my upbringing, but also because I knew what I wanted to do. And I know so many people who still don't know what they want to do. And I feel sorry for them. And I'm always like, fuck, I'm so thankful that for as long as I can remember, it was so clearly wrestling for me, like my entire adult life. And then when I made that decision, I just ran to it and I've never looked back. And I've never really had a fallback plan. It was just kind of like, well, we're going to wrestle and we're going to get signed to WWE and we're going to be very successful in this. And this is going to be my career and my life, you know? And that's not to say I haven't thought about what's going to happen post wrestling when I retire, if I get injured, like XYZ. I'm not delusional and naive in that sense. Like, I have my ducks in a row as far as what else I'm going to do. But yeah, I've always been thankful that I've known what I want to do and who I want to be, because I feel like there are a lot of people who don't, or are stuck in this, like, hamster wheel of comfortability, which everything's kind of just okay. And I don't know what it is about me, why I've never, like, I've just always thought that's not for me. Like, I've always thought the average lifestyle of working a 9 to 5 and making money for someone else and burning myself to the ground and working 45 hours a week and having 4 weeks off per year in Australia, even less here in America, like all of these things until I'm 60, 65, 70, whatever. And then I have 5 or 10 years of fun at the end of it when I'm old and fucking decrepit and my whole life is gone and then I die. Like, I've always just like I've not subscribed to that lifestyle. I've always just looked at that and gone, surely there's another way, And for me, luckily, my other way has been wrestling. And I think in this day and age in 2023, it's never been easier, I think, to kind of create the reality that you want and the lifestyle that you want and the living situation you want. And if you want to, there's so many more remote jobs than there were before. You couldn't be an influencer 10 years ago and live off it, and now you can. OnlyFans, so there's just content creators. There's so many different kind of job roles that you can create yourself from the inside of your own home, that it's not the be all and end all to go to school for however many years and graduate, and then you've got to go to university, and you go to university or college for years, and then you end up with this fucking debt of however much money, and then you're kind of shut out the back end into the wild of like, all right, now figure it out. Now I get a job. And it's like, fuck, like, what do I do now? And that's something that I've seen happen to a lot of my friends who kind of followed that like traditional route of this is what you should do. And I have a lot of friends whose parents kind of pushed them in that direction, and I completely understand it, because that is the path most taken. The road most traveled is the conventional education system to lead into the workforce. But what I've learned from my own experiences is that doesn't work for everyone. And it works for some people. And of course, there are a lot of professions. If you want to be like, my sister-in-law is a doctor. And if you want to be a doctor, there's no fucking two ways about it. You are going to university for a long ass time. You are spending a lot of money. You are getting paid like dog shit for years and really, really working your tail off to end up with this degree, which is phenomenally impressive, just super beyond anything I could even imagine. I look at her like she's a fucking scientist, like she invented a spaceship, like just because the level of education and how smart she is and how talented, like it blows me away. I think she's a bee's knees. But obviously for situations like that, it's like, yes, there's no question. You have to do that, and that's what has to be done. But I see a lot of kids who kind of get pushed into what their parents think they should do, or what society tells them they should think, what society tells them they should do, when they don't really know what they want to do. So then they pick this random course that like they don't really know if they want to do it or not, and then that becomes very stressful because they're not passionate about it, and there's all these expectations, and they're in this like, what's the word? Like academic environment where their brain doesn't thrive in an academic environment. And then all of a sudden we've spent all this time and all this money and gone through all this stress and XYZ. And what are we doing with it? And of course, that's not everyone. Like, a lot of people do very, very well. But I guess what I'm trying to explain is like, now understanding more about myself and my brain, and getting diagnosed as an adult with ADHD, and then looking back retrospectively at my childhood and my education, and realizing I had so many issues that I didn't realize were linked to my ADHD, and now I completely 1,000% believe that they were. And it makes perfect sense. Some brains are not built for the confines of the education system, and that's okay. Some people are creative brains, and it doesn't fit that structure of you have to be here at this certain time with all of these books in your bag, and you've got to write all of these things, and you've got to sit there and sit still for an hour while someone talks about something that you don't care about, but you can't talk to the person next to you. You can't distract anyone. You've got to sit there and be patient and listen to what they're saying, and you can't daydream because you've got to pay attention, and then you have to take these little notes, and then you've got to go home and be organized enough to have them all together. And it's just that kind of structure. For me, was always so difficult, and I didn't know why, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And obviously now looking back, I realize I was a very depressed teenager, and I knew I hated school, but I didn't know why I hated school. I mean, I was getting bullied, so I knew I hated school because I was getting bullied 100%. But the bullying aside, I was like, what? I could never wrap my head around it. And my grades were terrible. I was failing fucking every single subject except English. I loved English. I wouldn't read. I was talking to Mance the other day, and he goes, "What books did you read in high school?" I go, "Bro, I didn't fucking read books in high school. I didn't read. I was on a plane the other day, and I brought the Britney Spears book, which, by the way, great book. I brought the Britney Spears book, and I had it in my hands. And this lady next to me was like, "Oh, is that a good book?" And I go, "Yeah, and I suck at reading, but it's really easy to get through." I didn't even think about the fact that I basically told this lady that I can't read. I was like, no, later on I was like, fuck, I can read. I just can't pay attention. I don't enjoy reading. So I told this poor lady that I fucking couldn't read. But anyways, always very much struggled with paying attention to things. And now looking back on it, I realize it was all ADHD. And I think this kind of giant tangent has been, I don't know how to summarize this. I think the more that you learn about mental health, and the more that you learn about yourself and your own brain and your own mental health, that means that you can create new systems and you can rewire the pathways in your brain, which is insane, which is stuff that I've learned through therapy. And just because you were one way at some point, if you actually put the work in and commit to it and educate yourself and do all of these things, you can actually create new habits and change certain things and make for a much easier existence for yourself. So I guess if there's anything that I can say off this, and look, again, I know, especially in America, therapy is so expensive and insurance is a pain in the fucking ass, and there is nowhere near enough resources and support for people for mental health in this country. And it fucking blows me away because it is so prevalent. It is so evident. We are now at the point where no one can argue that depression and anxiety and all of these other mental health diagnoses exist. It's all real. That, okay, cool. Now let's do what we need to do and make mental health care accessible for everyone in every pay bracket, from every background, at every age, because we need to take care of our people that keep the world running. You know, I think it is, to me, mental health care is as basic a human right as it is to have access to fresh water and a roof over your head. Like, this isn't optional. This isn't a fun thing that's only available. I mean, it is. But it shouldn't be. This shouldn't be something that's only available to people that earn a certain amount of money. Depression and anxiety and all of the other mental illnesses do not discriminate regardless of how much money you earn, or regardless of whether or not you have insurance, or whether or not you grew up, you know what I mean? Like, whatever your situation is, it doesn't fucking discriminate. So, I don't know. I've always felt very passionately about, through dealing with my own struggles with mental health, that it needs to be a lot more accessible, and it also needs to be a conversation that is opened up and encouraged for people to have from a young age. Like, children need to understand this stuff. It needs to be a lot more normalized for men to talk about their mental health, for people to not just say, hey, I need help, but to be pointed in the right direction. And especially being in America, I've found that personally, I think there is still a lot of work to be done in that aspect, because trying to get therapists and psychiatrists and getting diagnosed and medications and all of these things have been so stressful for me in my own journey. And I'm someone who has insurance. I'm someone who can afford to have these appointments and pay for these medications. I'm someone who has an open schedule, so I can go to these appointments when I need to. I am in a very fortunate situation, and it's still very difficult for me. So I can't even imagine someone who doesn't have the tools that I have trying to take care of their mental health. So yeah, that's something that I just want to say is, like, I hope that as society progresses, the urgent need for more support in the mental health space also progresses, because, as I said, it's very, very prevalent, and oftentimes I feel like it's left too late. And I don't agree with the notion of, well, let's just, not talk about it and not worry about it because it makes you look weak and blah, blah, blah. And then when something happens, we'll just, thoughts and prayers and RIP hashtag, and then we'll just the next day move on. Like, this needs to be a constant current conversation and prevention before it progresses to a much deeper point. Anyway, enough on all that spooky stuff that I wasn't planning on talking about, but that's the way that we go on That's Cooked. It's just fucking cooked. All right, so I have in my hands, should have unwrapped it before we got on my ASMR podcast, but anyways, I'll show you guys. Look how fucking cool this is. That's me. This is from Japan. These are, I mean, you can call them whatever you want, because they can be, it is whatever you want it to be. But what I think it is, wait, did I do it backwards? I think I did it backwards. Fuck. These, to me, are little Christmas tree ornaments. And we got them, Matt and I got them in Japan. I don't think anyone in America really has these. But Matt and I got them in Japan, and we just saw them and we were like, these are so fucking cool. But they're made to be stands, they're made to be anything. But look how cute that is. It's me. And yeah, I was thinking, isn't that a perfect little Christmas tree ornament, isn't it? Innit? Yeah, I thought that'd be a great little Christmas tree. So these are going to be available on stephdelandestore.com very soon. I don't know how much, maybe like $12 to $15 with some free shipping for you guys. That's coming soon. What else have I got? Ooh, I've got a new shade of DSL. We're in the product testing phase. So I'm testing the products, testing the shades. I know what I want. Just got to find it. I know what the name is. It's going to be fucking very good. Almost, look, could be the best one yet. I'm just saying it's very in line with the whole DSL range. So I'm going to need you guys to be patient. Stay tuned. Hopefully it's out within the next couple of weeks. The original GTA Strip Red and the lip balm, actually, both have gone so well. They've sold like fucking hotcakes. I had to order another box of products. I'm very happy with how they've gone. I'm very proud of myself for doing this. You know, every time you beat up on yourself, you go, I haven't done enough, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, blah, blah, blah. Who the fuck else? What other indie wrestler is releasing their own makeup line? You know? So I'm going to pat myself on the back for that one real quick. Yeah, I'm proud of myself. I'm excited for what's going to come in the future. As I said, I'm releasing a new shade. I'm looking into potentially another unisex product soon. There are a lot of different options, a lot of different avenues that we can go down. So yeah, I'm always looking to, I always am expanding my merch game at the moment. I feel like my house is turning into a fucking post office. I have boxes everywhere, packaging stuff fucking everywhere. I've got bubble wrap coming out on a wazoo. I've got so many different, there's a new product every week. It's just crazy. So I'm feeling very blessed. I'm very excited about the future. There's a lot of exciting things coming up. This weekend we've got, where am I going? Seattle for GCW. Hell yeah. We've got Seattle for GCW. Then, what the fuck is the next step? Ooh. Shh. It's a secret. You can't tell anyone. I'm doing something on Saturday. But, can't tell you yet. So, you guys can use your own little fucking brains and try and brainstorm what I'm going to be doing and where I'm going to be. But for now, that's that. This is the kickoff of the Grinchmas season. I'm very excited about it. So yeah, until next time, that's cooked.